From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! Post signing day here on Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan, Corey Clark here as well in the house. Check out warchant.com, become a member. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 days of access. You can assess what lies ahead for Florida State. You can also read Corey Clark's rock-solid column regarding what transpired over the last 24 hours as signing day has come and then gone. Corey, it's a brave new world out there for Florida State. Proud to be a part of it with you, my friend.
That's good to hear, man. I appreciate that. I'm proud to be going on this journey with you as well.
Yeah, man. What was the crux of your column, friend?
You know, it was kind of Willie talked about negativity and how it was hard to recruit when there's so much negativity around a program, but it wasn't. People might hear that and roll their eyes. He wasn't blaming anyone. He wasn't saying, "Hey, if you guys were more positive, these kids would want to come to Florida State." I think he was talking about the negativity that comes with a 5-7 season, with it, and frankly, on the heels of a 7-6 season, and all the just all the negativity that comes at a place like Florida State when you go 11-12 or whatever that is, 12-11 over a 2-year. I can't do math at all. What are we looking at there?
Don't bring me into this, please. Don't bring me into
12-13. When you go 12-13 over a 2-year stretch at a place like Florida State, there's negativity that obviously comes with that. And so he was talking about that, and he said, "Look, we nobody to blame but ourselves. Like who is going to be positive when you got a team that's 12-13 in 2 years and coming off a 5-7 season, in a 5-7 season that looked like that, with so many blowouts and some pretty awful, blowout losses and just all of it, just worse in the nation of penalties, one of the worst offenses, worst special teams, a bad all that stuff." It was a bad season, and that's negativity. That there's negativity that comes with that, and so we talked about that. And so my column was kind of like, I love that Willie's transparent and he's genuine, and he does blame himself and the program for the negativity, and saying basically, look, it'll turn around when we turn it around, but it's up to them. It's up to the players and the coaches to turn it around and turn that negativity around. It can't be on it can't be on the fans or the media. You can't blame them for it. And my point basically was like, coaches, so many coaches will be like, you're either with us or against us. You're all in or you're all out. You're either all on board or you're jumping off deck. Don't like us when we're great. Don't come back and love us. All that stuff that coaches normally say. Willie's not about that. And, I write a lot of columns about how much I like Willie Taggart as a person. I can't wait to start writing columns about how good a coach he is, hoping to be able to do that one of these days. But again, I also make the point in the column that, I get it, man. You're 5-7, and then you still haven't. You've gone now 2 years without signing your quarterback. That's hard as a fan to digest. It makes fans rightly wonder what is going on. Yeah. You say you have a plan, and Willie said he had a plan on Wednesday during his press conference. Like, we got a plan as in a backup plan, which is really a backup plan. But you got to prove it, man. Right now, it's James Blackman, Devin Travis's brother, who won't be eligible most likely, and a walk-on. That's your quarterback situation right now. You're 2 years in. And I also point out that Willie Taggart had a higher-ranked recruiting class when he had 6 weeks to put one together, as opposed to an entire year. But that also goes back to the season. I mean, now he was selling optimism and hope in December and January of last year. Yep. This year, he can sell optimism and hope fine, and some kids still bought in. And we'll see how good those kids are and what if they really do change the culture like Willie thinks they will. But they also have eyes now, and they watched it. There's a year's worth of evidence to say, okay, maybe we don't need to buy into your optimism and hope, and that's what he was recruiting against. So that's a long, convoluted way of saying I'm not real sure what the crux of my column was about, but if they win, the negativity goes away, essentially.
Yeah, it's a rock solid, as always, Clark column. Check it out. Also, a bit of the clarification. Somebody shouted out to me or sent me a tweet about this. if you do sign up for War Chant, the 30 free days, if you use the War Chant 30 promo code, apparently, perhaps if you use a debit card, your bank will put a $90 hold on your card. So if you're waiting to get that paycheck, maybe wait for the paycheck to clear before you sign up for the 30 free days. You'll get your money back, but apparently they put some sort of hold on your credit card. I just don't want somebody to not be able to get groceries because I sat here and told you to sign up for our account. Maybe just get, some ramen noodles and then sign up. That would be pretty cool.
I would also say that if you're going to spend the $30, if you're going to have the disposable income to hopefully spend the money it would take for the entire year, don't use grocery money for that.
Yeah.
Have a little more disposable income at the ready.
Yeah.
So the extra $60 doesn't crush you.
Right. To your point, though, I mean, I do appreciate his candidness, if that's a word.
Candor?
Candor, even better. I mentioned this to you as we were kind of winding down on Wednesday night about, there's a couple questions I wanted to ask Willie on, Wednesday afternoon. And I felt bad. And not like in a patronizing way where, oh, this poor guy, man, let's just leave him alone. But I genuinely kind of felt bad about, where he currently has to sit, the landscape he has to recruit against. But to your point, he said that, hey, we created this, and we have to fix it. And that is kind of candid to hear. What I want to ask you, this is probably going to get us way too much onto a tangent, but the whole fact that he could sell hope and optimism, 6 weeks on the job, and now he's got to try to sell whatever he's selling on top of the fact that you're also going to be saddled with a 5-7 record. It's like the Lakers trying to get Anthony Davis right now. They got to cough up all these assets they have and then take on not only lose all those assets, but also take on dead money pretty much from a guy like Solomon Hill, who's not going to contribute much and is a terrible contract. 17, it was still like, all right, if Jimbo was still engaged and Francois doesn't go down, that's still a 9-win team, probably a 10-win team. What is trying to be optimistic and revisionist? What would have made that team last year win 8 games? What would they have won? Can he tell these recruits, if you would have been on our team? It doesn't feel like they were. I mean, were they 4 or 5 good players away from winning 8 games? Were they really a good offensive line away from winning 8 games? That's the I guess kind of the concern that a lot of fans have right now. They hope that maybe they'd be able to fill some of those gaps, and then they're not being filled.
No, I mean, realistically, they were a lot closer to 2-10 than they were to 10-2. A lot closer. They weren't close to winning 8 games last year. Not what other games could they have won? Maybe if Virginia Tech, if they review the Nooney play and don't call the Cam Akers Wildcat, but that game was probably closer than the score indicated. But other than that, I don't know another game you could say. Well, obviously Miami, but other than that, I don't know another game you could say, yeah, just a couple plays here and there, or a player or two here or there, and they win. Yeah. No, and I mean it's still Florida State though. I do want to stress that, and I'm going to make fun of that kid that turned down Florida State to play at Maryland for the rest of my life, because I am 100% sure that he is not going to win a championship at Maryland. He is not going to play in a New Year's Six bowl at Maryland. He might not play in a bowl at all at Maryland. Well, that's not true. Everybody plays in bowls except, the
5 and 17
past year. Right. But he's not going to play in a New Year's Six bowl. He's probably not going to play in a bowl after Christmas at a place like Maryland ever. And I'm going to make fun of him for the rest of his life. I just can never fathom how you would choose to go play in that conference, in that cold city, in that cold, slow conference for a coach that's 2-26 in his head coaching career. Again, that's not a great sign for Florida State that you lose a quarterback to that. But my counter to that, and I do believe it, is if you have a kid that's willing to go play at Maryland, you probably didn't want him anyway. And again, a kid from Louisiana that's willing to go play at Maryland. And that kid was the backup to the backup plan. Yeah. So it's
okay. Sam Howell's plan A.
Yep.
That fell through.
It did. And Willie didn't bring him up by name, but brought up during the press conference on Wednesday that, they got to recruit different types of kids maybe. And he, I guess it's a shot at Sam Howell, but he said we got to recruit more team-oriented kids kids that care more about the team. And he goes, we invested a lot in a player, and it didn't work out. We're not going to make that mistake again. He was talking about Sam Howell, and I think what he meant was, it's not that Sam Howell doesn't care about winning or being a part of a team, but Sam Howell was only coming to Florida State because of Walt Bell.
The great Walt Bell.
The great Walt Bell, the quarterback whisperer, the guru. The people have called him a young Bill Walsh forever. So without the great Walt Bell, he wasn't coming to Florida State. And Willie Taggart spoke a lot about it, and so did all the coaches at the recruiting party, about kids that want to be at Florida State because they want to be at Florida State, not because one single coach is there, not because they're looking at the best, easiest route to get to the NFL, not even maybe about early playing time. It's about they want to be at Florida State because they fell in love with Florida State. And I do think there is something to that. More often than not, though, obviously you'd rather have a 5-star that just goes where he's going to get to the end. You want more 5-stars than you want 3 stars that are in love with Florida State. But when you are trying to change a culture, it does help to influx a roster, especially this kind of roster that does, have a plenty of me first type guys, or has in the past, with dudes that really love the school and want to be at the school and are willing to come to Florida State when it's not the cool place to go. They're cycling off kids from the roster now that only came to Florida State because it was the program at the time. They didn't grow up loving Florida State. They didn't really have a lot of I think they just thought this is the easiest route to get to the NFL. This is the team that's winning a lot. And you recruited some kids that obviously had no business being at Florida State. Well, now hopefully you're recruiting kids that are here at Florida State for the right reasons, and maybe they can change the culture. Now, one class can't do that, but they can be a foundation.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what Willie, it's certainly what he's selling. I do genuinely believe I do think he believes it. But that's what he's selling to the fans, is that look, don't worry about the ranking. These are guys that want to be here. They're high character kids, and this is how you turn a program around. And let's be honest, Willie knows how to turn programs around. He's done it before. He has more experience with losing seasons than any of us do.
Hey-o.
So, well, I mean, I'm not even doing that as a shot, but he does. So he kind of knows what he's looking for and how to build a program and how to rebuild a program. So he does genuinely seem to think that this class will be kind of a turning point. And I can't remember which coach brought it up at the signing day party. It might have been David Kelly, but one of them did. One of them brought up the fact that
it was Raymond Woody. The first year always sputters, and the second year they take off.
But he also said that these are the guys that somebody said, we're going to look back and say this was the class that changed it.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, you're right.
And I do think that's what they're selling with this class. We'll see if it becomes true. But that's, that's the hope, because they're not going to overwhelm you with all the stars, but maybe they change the culture. And I know people roll their eyes and think that's coach speak or media speak, and it's nebulous. And how do you define that? But man, there is a lot to that. There is a lot to that. And all you have to do, just staying on Florida State's campus, the baseball team has a culture of winning. They don't accept losing. You don't lose. And I know people can say what they want about Mike Martin. The dude wins 40 games every year. That's not an accident.
Literally.
There is something in that culture, in what they preach, that makes that an automatic. Those kids are there. It's an automatic. I don't know how. I can't describe it, but it's there. It's part of the culture. It's part of the program. It's just there. And I think that's happening with Florida State basketball now. There's a culture there where they're all cool playing 19 minutes a game, or at least they act like they're cool, and they really do cheer for each other. And there is a selflessness about that program. Now, that's 12 kids and not 85 kids. I get that. But that's what you're trying to build with culture. And it does mean something. It's not coach speak. Culture is how programs get changed. And this culture was toxic. And, I think we're in a point now where maybe these guys are the guys that turn it around. And if they're not, Florida State will be getting another new head coach in a year or two. That's how it works. That's college football. But I'm not overly concerned with the ranking. 15 isn't bad. 16, whatever they're ranked. We'll see how this class turns out in a couple years. The quarterback issue is a little concerning.
Right. Well, last point I want to get to as we wind down this, and we'll have Michael Langston come on here and give us his thoughts on the recruiting class. It sounds all good that these kids are going to be the core and the foundation of what we're trying to do, but, I mean, what were the needs for Florida State? Their needs were quarterback and offensive line. And a majority of the kids that they signed on the offensive line came in February, came after the early signing period, and to be frank, they're backup plans. The quarterback situation that they were in. Sam Howell was plan A. That didn't work out. They try to get Grant Tisdale at last minute. He goes to Ole Miss. Then they try to get Lance Lejeune. That doesn't work out. They try to get Plumlee. That doesn't work out. Oh, okay. And the thing is, Plumlee is going to Ole Miss. Ole Miss literally signed 2 kids in December. He chose Ole Miss. And I know he's from Mississippi. I get it. Lejeune chose Maryland. It's the position of need that you needed to fill quite direly. You swung and you missed. The other position of need was offensive line. And these are plan B, plan C kids, and you're gonna try to put on the whole, these kids are going to change the culture around. Then why weren't you recruiting them in October? Why were they not being recruited in August? Kids that are going to change your program, these are kids that you hopped on in January. That's concerning to me. Now, and I'm being genuine here, this crop of quarterbacks, like I don't think, Corey and I, maybe sometimes our sarcasm isn't picked up well. I don't think either of us thought that Sam Howell was going to be a program changer. I mean, I guess you could maybe look at it, well, why do they put so much stock into him being their quarterback? I don't know. I don't personally think that maybe he'll win 9-10 games in North Carolina, but I don't know if he's going to change or be a dynamic first-team all-ACC kind of guy. This Lejeune kid might not even get grades. Plumlee would have been nice. But again, he's from Mississippi. You lose him to an in-state school in Ole Miss. Probably not the worst thing ever. If they can get a grad transfer quarterback, they'll be all right. And if they can get a guy in 2020 to enroll early, they'll be fine. Again, somebody asked in the Renegade Express, we'll get to it tomorrow, but they were basically saying if they were to sign one quarterback, would there have been this amount of hate? I really don't think so, because people don't feel good about that position right now, and rightfully so. There's not the depth there. But the guys they missed out on, I don't think Lance Lejeune's going to take Maryland to new heights. We don't know if John Reese Plumlee's ever going to even see the field at Ole Miss. There's already 2 guys ahead of him. Matt Corral they signed the year before. He was a 5-star at one point. So, like, these guys they missed out on, I don't really know how amazing they are. Yes, you wanted a quarterback, but again, get a grad transfer just to be a backup plan for James Blackman. Is James Blackman going to win 11 games next year? Probably not. Is he going to win 10 games? Probably not. But hopefully he'll go and play his balls out and give everything he's got to this university, and there's no reason to think that he won't. And then you have a guy that's going to provide depth like a grad transfer, and they already have a guy committed from Sandalwood. I think Jeff Sims is his name, for 2020. So you're in a pretty decent place. Just get another guy to enroll early in 2020, and you can start, getting what you want, because it was so key to keep James Blackman's red shirt. Well, here's where you're going to be able to use it. Hopefully he stays healthy. A grad transfer guy comes in, and then you can start, grooming a guy January 2020 to take over the reins, because Kendall Browse's offense is going to be much more simple and easy to execute than Jimbo's offense, and he's going to get guys that come from similar systems that are run in high schools all across the country. So at the end of the day, optically it's bad, but I don't really know how much of a setback it really is for Florida State ultimately. I really feel it's not as big of a deal as we're trying to make, not you and I, but I think that the fan base is taking that right now. Personally, I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Me, the negative guy.
I get it. I see what you're saying, and I do agree. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting a true freshman to come in here and play in 2019, or even for that case, 2020, right? I don't think anybody was expecting – I think people expect James Blackman to be the guy for the next year or two. It does hurt your depth. But more than anything, you did want these guys. You did recruit these guys and recruit them pretty hard, at least in the last 6 weeks. And the fact that you lost out to Maryland – and in the case of Sam Howell, you lost out to Mac Brown. And you lost out to Mike Loxley at Maryland, who's 2-26 in 28 games as a head coach, and is at Maryland, who literally has never won anything ever, and is cold and damp and just not a football school. That, and the kid's from Louisiana. He's not from, like I said, he's not from D.C. or Richmond or College Park. He's from Louisiana. Florida State is closer. He bypassed Florida State to go to Maryland. I think that's where maybe the concern comes from with fans is, man, we can't even get these kids. But again, I would say this, and people that are listening to this, and I assume you're a Florida State fan, otherwise you're weird if you're listening to this show. No, that's not true, folks. We're entertaining, even if you're not a Florida State fan. But if you were a dad or a mom of a quarterback recruit and you watched Florida State play last year and you watched that offensive line perform, would you want your son to go there? So 2019 is a prove-it year, man. It's a prove-it year. You have to show that you're competent up front. Vince Williams, the great Vince Williams of the Williams family, Florida State legacies, even tweeted as much on Wednesday. It's like, why would any quarterback recruit who saw the Florida State offensive line play in 2018, why would their parents send them to Florida State? And that's a kid that loves Florida State, graduated from Florida State, had a brother that started at Florida State. He played at Florida State. It's just pragmatism at some point. Prove in 2019 that you are a competent football team with at least mediocre offensive line. And then you have a better shot at landing these kids. I'm going to blame that kid because still, you're going to go to Maryland, man. Really? Cool. Good luck. Enjoy that inflatable turtle in the end zone. Go cuddle with it.
Testudo. That's the name
Testudo.
of the turtle. Testudo.
Yeah, go jump on them. Go hug them. Go run into them. All the things you can do with a big inflatable turtle. Because nobody's going to be in those stands to watch you play because nobody cares in Maryland about college football. So good luck, man. Have fun. Don't look longingly at Florida State in 2 years when they're playing Clemson in prime time with College Game Day, and you're getting ready to tee it up in Minnesota at noon in 11 degrees. Anyway, I know that's sour grapes. Good luck to that kid. I don't know him. I hope he's a good kid, nice kid, and everything works out for him. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that you're going to go to Maryland instead of Florida State. It's so short-sighted. But at any rate, you're right. I don't know that I don't think that kid was going to be a program changer. It wasn't a huge loss. I think it's more about what it says about the current state of the program that you have now whiffed on every quarterback recruit in 2 cycles.
Well, didn't we know? Didn't we know, though, Corey? Like, what? We needed a kid to go to Maryland to let us know that this is not a good football team right now?
No, I just feel like as a Florida State fan, you don't want to tell yourself it's that bad. Yeah. And again, let's be honest, I don't think it's that bad. It's not a bad class. Travis J is really good.
Akeem Dent.
He might be the next quarterback. You did get offensive linemen. Dante Lucas is a really good offensive lineman. Now the other guys might have been backup plans, but guess what, man? There's a lot of backup. There's a lot of 2-stars that end up All-Americans. We don't know. Again, I've said it 1,000 times. That is the hardest position to gauge. Some of those guys might be real players, but are pretty good players. But you got 6 bodies that you didn't have that you're throwing at the problem.
Yeah,
6 bodies on the offensive line that you're throwing at that problem. Hopefully a couple of them work out. So they did go and get guys. We'll see how it works out, but they did go and get guys. It's not, the sky hasn't fallen on all of us. It's creeping down a little bit, though. And again, the only thing that can change, the negativity will go away and the recruits will start flocking if you win 8 or 9 games, which is certainly doable.
Corey, if we ever get to the point where we have a Wake Up War Chant appreciation party and you make T-shirts, can you just put on the back, just throw more bodies at it and sign it like General Corey S. Clark?
Yeah, it's like Patton, man. I mean, you're going to have some casualties.
Just throw bodies.
You just keep throwing bodies at the beachhead. I mean, it's dire straits, folks. And so you get kids that want to come. You hope they're good players, and obviously they're not going to all pan out, but you hope some of them do. And you hope you can find 5 out of 15 or 16, whatever, how many ever scholarship linemen they have now. Yeah. You hope 5 of them can play, and you hope Minshew can stay healthy, and Dickerson can stay healthy, and then maybe you have a shot at an average to a little above average offensive line. Yeah. But I don't think, and again, I want to say this, man, just every time, especially when he handles questions like he had to handle on Wednesday about Francois' dismissal, about not getting a quarterback, about, missing out on some kids. I just like the guy.
Yeah.
I really like the guy. And I know you guys don't, we want him to succeed because you're Florida State fans. I get that. But you also should want him to succeed because he really does seem like a genuinely good person. And you want that around this program. You want that around college. You want that at your school. The school that you love, you hope the guy that's leading it is a good person. I think he is.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for him. And I think his coaches are good people. I'm rooting for them. But, I also know the reality of this sport, man, in this business. You can't go 5-7 and look like that and then go 2 straight years without signing a quarterback when everybody knows you were looking for a quarterback. And people are just going to be like, well, okay, he's a nice guy, so who cares? You're going to get criticized. There's going to be negativity. I just hope the guy wins 8 or 9 games next year and can start building some momentum, because I do think if he can get some momentum going and start winning some games, he can be really good for this university. I really do genuinely believe that. I might be totally wrong. I'm never wrong, but I might be wrong in this instance. But I do think, man, the guy is good for Florida State if he can, win football games.
A quick note from me on my Twitter. I think there was a comment that Willie made that I posted on my Twitter. I thought it was actually talking about DeAndre Francois, but he was talking about Sam Howell. So my bad on that. With that said, we're done. Good job, Corey. Michael Langston going to come on and give us a breakdown of the recruiting class and his thoughts on it right after this, right here. Wake Up War Chant. Oh, by the way, Renegade Express, probably Friday. So do that, folks. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, all Noles, every day. Now back to Corey and Aslan.
All right, welcome back, folks. You heard Corey and I, the non-recruiting guys, babbling about recruiting. Let's bring in the expert, recruiting analyst and guru, warchant.com, Michael Langston, joining us here on Wake Up War Chant. This might be the last time we talk in a while, Michael. I'm going to miss it, but you deserve some time off from us, man. We sat here and we've talked about the quarterback position and everything. Ultimately, you were there. You were able to talk to Willie, listen to his answers. Just how do you feel about the 2019 class as it stands and what they do moving forward at the quarterback spot?
Well, I think that my perception changed a lot as far as a significant amount. Once Ira Henry was on board with FSU, that kind of changed everything for me, because offensive line was the biggest need, in my opinion. And you got 2 high school kids, got a grad transfer. That gives you 6 guys now. You can have 1 or 2 more grad transfers. That's 8. So I think you're addressing that, and which is the most important need. And I mentioned to you last night that the offensive line was where I was looking at. I know everyone was focused on Lance and the quarterback position. It was a surprise, but at the same time, offensive line's where I was looking at. But I think at the quarterback position, we don't really know. Still don't know, even with his answers. Kind of told us like there's still options out there, and we know the JUCO ranks and the grad transfers. They're probably going to be working the phones hard to get one guy. I mean, the only thing I'm confident in saying is I think they'll get a guy. I don't know where it'll come from, but I think they'll add another one in some form of capacity, whether it be grad transfer or JUCO. I think they'll add one more quarterback. So that's kind of my take. I don't know who that would be or whatnot, but I think they will add one more. It's, as you said, Coach Taggart said in the presser, disappointing. They had a guy they were focused on, and they didn't get him. I think everyone's feeling that that's Lance, but I actually think it's Plumlee. So I'm going to do some research on this Lance thing just to see what kind of happened behind the scenes there and kind of what was going on there. If FSU sent an LOI to him, if FSU went to see him in home in the final week, I think that'll be telling if FSU did or didn't. But either way, it was a surprise, but still, it doesn't change what you have. You still need a quarterback. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I just think we're in a wait-and-see pattern as far as the quarterback position, and it's still, here we are, National Signing Day, and we're still waiting to see who they're going to get at quarterback.
Yeah. Michael Langston joining us here on Wake Up War Chant. Michael, the Nick Cross thing kind of came and I don't want to say it went because he hasn't signed anywhere yet. I mean,
yeah.
This has happened before. I remember that defensive lineman Malik McDowell, I think, ended up going past signing day and was between Florida State and Michigan State. He ended up going to Michigan State. So there's no real sort of, pattern that this is a bad thing for Florida State or whatever. I don't know. I would think mom's going to have to be the one to come in the middle of this, because it sounds like dad wants Penn State. He wants, Nick himself wants Florida State. You feel like maybe mom will be like, honey, speaking to her husband, let's let our son become a man and make his own decisions. That's me just, projecting, obviously. But just how crazy of a recruitment has this become? Because it seems like this is a guy that was firmly in place for a long time.
Yeah, it's a drama-filled recruitment. We've heard even when he made his FSU commit, you kept hearing every week, like, it's going to happen this week, it's going to happen this week, it's going to happen this week, and it's never happened. And now it's kind of all making sense when you put all this together that, the dad seemed to be defiant upon him going to Florida State and committing there. But my thing is, if you let him commit there in the summer, I think there's a possibility, and I think you put up a good point, that mom might intervene and say, look, if he really wants to be here and he feels it's the most comfortable place he wants to be, I think we got to support him, and that's what they want to do. Or they'll do the other way and say, you can go anywhere else, but I don't want you going to Florida State. And then we'll have to figure out where he wants to go. But I think, based on what I've gotten from earlier today, I think Nick is standing really strong that he really feels that he wants to be at FSU, and he's trying to do everything he can do to make that happen based on, the gist we've got. Because the thing is, like, you still don't see a lot of predictions for people picking Nick to go anywhere else but FSU. So that kind of tells you these other schools aren't really hearing anything that they can get them. So I think it's really in the parents' ballpark as far as, the ball's in their court, where they got to decide, are you going to be defiant totally on this, or because you don't feel comfortable, or are you going to lean in and say, you know what, if you feel really comfortable about this, let's do it. So I think that's kind of where you're at. I'm kind of the same place we were last night, which is how much leniency are the parents going to have? And you put a good point about the mom. The mom might be the one that has to intervene there and say, look, we got to let him make his decision, or two, we're going to go this place. That's kind of where the decision's got to go from here. But he's the last one we're waiting on, and it's been a roller coaster, and we'll see what happens. As far as that goes, going forward.
Yeah, I think real quickly to your point as well too. If they were on board with him coming here in the summer, it's obviously they don't have a problem with who Willie is or what he's trying to build. I mean, maybe there's just apprehension that, things aren't off to a good start. Hey, son, maybe he won't be there all 3 years. But you figure those are the kind of things, Willie can call them, reassure them. So, I mean, I think that's reassuring. It's not it's not like, oh, that place is terrible. It's just, we got some concerns. Hopefully they'll figure out and hash it out.
Yeah, they could do that. I mean, he can call them, talk to them, and say, hey, here's our concerns. And then he talks to them, and the dad and the mom, they feel comfortable with it, and it's like, bam, this thing's over. But we'll see. I think that's also a good point. We'll just have to see what comes about from, smoothing any concerns out. And like I said, there's no other school that thinks that they're getting him right now. So it's kind of still up in the air about how this thing's going to shake out.
All right. Last thing, Michael. So what happens next, man? What's next for you? We getting backstories? We getting a 2020 hot board? What's on tap for Michael Langston?
Yeah, we're going to do some research. I'm kind of going to do a little bit different in the backstories, because I'm going to kind of I usually do them the night of signing day. This time, since we had to go through so many crazy recruiting things, I'm probably going to take my time, probably do something on Thursday and do a backstory, kind of touch on a couple of recruitments, a few that they lost, and then why they won the other ones, and what was the story behind it, and kind of focus on that stuff. And then after that, probably a day or so, or a few days over that, we're gonna launch this 2020 hot board. We got the offense done and the defense done, so we're gonna be ready to roll. We're gonna have this thing out there, and it gives a breakdown. I mean, this is an extensive breakdown to every target that they're considering right now that I'm going to cover on the offense or the defensive side of the ball. So kind of gets people ready and pumped up for what's going to happen in the next class, of where they're starting and, who they're looking at, and just crank this thing all over again and start it over. And then I'll be there to answer all the questions. And then after that, guys, it's vacay time for Mr. Langston here.
Let the big dog eat, everybody. All right, Michael, man, we appreciate it. We'll look forward to those hot boards and the stores that you got working on over at warchant.com. Check it out over at the Premium Recruiting Board. Michael's always got you guys covered. Michael, thanks for your time, man.
You got it, man.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.